Dreams. Have you ever stopped to think about them? What they are and why? I have thought of dreams as a novelty, something that happens in spite of ourselves, something that is done to us. Apparently, I'm not the only one who finds dreams mysterious. There are literally thousands of books on the subject of dreams. I have, however, decided to look at dreams as pages from my own personal notebook. In other words, dreams talk to me, specifically, about subjects of great interest. Dreams are real. Before I continue, let me add a special note to the new friends and subscribers to my channel. It is called The Thoughts of Microdac because I share my thoughts. And this is important, I distract my viewers with flowers while I talk about unrelated subjects. It is better than a blank screen. Now, back to dreams. These are my thoughts, and you must think for yourself. You are obligated as an adult to shed a lifetime of mistaken beliefs and think for yourself. And if you're a sheep, and if you continue to be led as a sheep, you must still suffer the consequences of your behavior. You cannot get away from this fact because you now know that you, and only you, are responsible for your actions. No excuses. How do I know that? Because I just told you. There are no excuses. Here's the deal. We all spend a lot of time sleeping, and we either dream or we don't. Just the same, all of our many hours or sleepings are indicators of our own future, meaning death. And of course, it's a very unpleasant subject because we don't like to think that we and only we are responsible for our own action. But we don't like to talk about that. Every night or day, depending on who you are, what you do, and your time zone, we experience death. It is what it is. We wake up refreshed and better educated and more enlightened. We are born again. We are reincarnated. But there's another aspect of equal importance. That is, we experience our flaws and misbehavior through our dreams. If we are smart, we will learn and become repentant. We will become enlightened. By the way, this little spiel is a result of last night's dream, a time when I was enlightened and a time when it was strongly suggested that I share my life in the dream world. I am just a messenger. You must think for yourself. Okay, so there were two dreams I wish to share, and yes, they are embarrassing and they do point to my flaws, but I must share, even at my own expense. It is entirely up to you to judge or not to judge, to accept or not to accept. The dreams had to do with two subjects. One, my evil ways that, in fact, inflicted hurt on others. And two, my life of fear that is crippling. Keep in mind that such terms as good and bad are irrelevant. They are terms created by mankind as guidance, but they have no real meaning on feelings and pain inflicted. They are like moral codes, rules designed to control. First, my evil ways. The dream I had to do with my feelings. I felt helpless in that I couldn't wake up. I was subjected to feelings of rejections, feelings of being able to feel like dirt, and feelings of deep hurt. In the dream, I experienced deep and very deep feelings of betrayal and disappointment. The same feelings that one feels when a lover betrays another. But why this dream at this time? In my waking state, I was given the opportunity through meditation to analyze that dream. And sure enough, I am guilty of inflicting that pain with all its ugly dimensions on another, more than once. The rationale and the whys and wherefore are all unimportant to the feelings that I inflicted. I could go through a list of, quote, reasons, end quote, for my actions. The near suicide of another that taught me not to be close to another person. The hurt of not having enough. The self-doubts that cause destructive behavior. But they're all excuses. I am deeply sorry to have caused harm to another. I am very, very sorry to have caused harm to another. So, what do I do about it? I must express my regrets, but only after I have come to grips with my own behavior. And I must ask forgiveness, but only when I'm worthy of being forgiven. Those are my responsibilities. Words without sincerity are simply words that are noise without meaning. I am working on them. I am coming to grips with my own evil ways and behavior to make sure, very sure, that I do everything in my power not to repeat. The other dream that I experienced had to do with fear, and much of the elements of this dream remain a mystery. The setting is in a school, and I have lost my wallet, and in my wallet there are many important papers, passport card, my driver's license, credit cards, and so on. After all, who am I without proof of identity? Who are you? Can you prove it? I am frustrated because I no longer have access to proof of my identity, and none of the teachers and people in authority are willing to help me. In my waking state, I can still feel the frustration of the loss of identity, that is, the proof of identity, and I am concerned about why that is important. My conclusion, based on the knowledge that I now have, is that it is because of fear. Fear. That is fear. We live in a world where human beings are given authority over other human beings. At any given time, one person can take the life of another without remorse or retribution based on their political standing and their place on the ladder of authority. So many innocent and unarmed people have been murdered without the murderer ever coming to justice. So many people are victimized based on the greed of others, and so it goes. This dream, I think, was shared with me so that I could come to grips with the reality of living here and now. The rationale, reasons, and logic of such society have very little to do with the feelings that I experience being subjected to circumstances above and beyond my control. I personally know of people who have been victimized by society based on entrapment, false arrest, and simply because one in authority knew there will never be a time when that authority figure will ever have to pay for his or her crime over another. Think about that. So, what are some of my conclusions? Well, I have a lot of work to do on myself. The dreams that I have had are simply reflections on my own fear and evil ways. The good that I have done, too, of course. I must be brutally honest about who I am and where I am and my own goals and paths to perfection. I know this. Karma is real. Nobody can escape the eventuality of payment for conscious behavior. Not prayer, not payment, nothing. We must face the results of our own deeds. I know this, but we are not doomed. Through enlightenment, we can make the necessary corrections. We are not doomed. Once we recognize our own behavior, we can make amends. But it calls for being honest. Brutal honesty, and it calls for reflection. Our dreams are simply snippets of our own death. We all will die, and we will all either evolve or repeat until we get it right. There is no abrogation of those spiritual laws. The excuses of following the edicts of messengers do not apply. We all must be responsible for our own actions and behavior. So, what now? I must find time and space for my own 40 days or 40 nights, or 40 hours, or 40 minutes, and come to grips with me. I must say these two words, I am, and know exactly what that means. And no excuses. And I must do so while rejecting a lifetime of mistaken beliefs. And you, well, you must think for yourself.